We have a roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Here.
Kurtz.
Here.
Hayward.
Yes.
Hill is excused. Scharf.
Here.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is public comment. This is a time set aside for visitors and public comments only on topics of city business other than those listed on tonight's agenda. Please understand the council cannot take any action on your comments at this meeting due to requirements of the open meeting law, but may do so at a future meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to state their comments. Thank you for your cooperation. Please do your name and address when you come to the podium. And we only have Leanne Harrison. Leanne?
Leanne Harrison, 514 Fifth Avenue Southwest. Just having a few announcements for the Historical Society. We are going full swing now for spring, and we're having a tag sale on May 11th at the mill, which is the day before Mother's Day, from 8 until 1. We are also working in cooperation with the farmers market that morning. Yes, the mill did receive some damage, and we will be working with FEMA. We are our infamous windows that the river comes in and goes out did receive some ice damage, and so we will be working with some of our contractors. Just as a side note, we all know that First Street is going to be very active this summer, so keep alert for traffic that doesn't know where they're going, and the businesses should maintain their back door as their entrances. And the original mall concept is in downtown Independence. So we hope that all will abide by the new rules that we have and the maps that have been out on Facebook already. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne.
Okay. Next on the agenda, I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the March 25th, 2019 regular meeting, financials for the month of February, and initiated Al Corbett's wage increases outlined on the offer agreement.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz, second by Scharf. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is approval of bills or claims for payment.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin,
Second.
second by Kurtz. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Okay, now is when it gets interesting. Next is the fiscal year 2019 budget amendment public hearing. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of the public hearing, which did not get done because of a change, but I still need a motion, a second, and for you to vote that down.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excuse me.
No.
Yeah.
You don't want to approve this,
It
but I
was
still.
not published.
Yeah.
At this point, we have to recommend that you vote no on this motion.
Oh, it wasn't published.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It didn't, because of the extra things that got put in there, it didn't get published, so, but I.
The first time around it did though, right?
No, it was, you voted to do it, but there were changes that came up in the amendment notice. So we pulled the publication before it was actually published.
Okay.
And so instead of having a double negative on your motion, we ask that you make the motion and second as you did, but recommend that you vote it down because it in fact was not published. So we do not have that proof of publication.
But I still have to ask all those in favor say aye, and hearing none, those opposed? Now.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then do I still need to do the motion to hold the public hearing since we voted the other part down?
We do need this motion to set the new date for the public hearing.
That's the next step.
That's the next
That's
one.
the next step. I don't need a second step on this one, do we?
No.
Okay. So now, we need a motion to set the date of public hearing for April 22nd, 2019 at 6:30 PM in City Hall Council Chambers for the approval of the fiscal year 2019 budget amendment and budget transactions.
So moved.
Motion by Kurt.
Second.
Second by Scharf. This one you can vote for. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. It will be held on the 22nd. Thank you. Interesting how we got to go through all this stuff. Okay. Now, for First Street West Trail Project public hearing, I need a motion to set the date of public hearing for April 22nd, 2019 at 6:30 PM on final plans, specifications, form of contract, and award of bid for First Street West Trail Project.
So moved.
Motion by Kurt, second by Scharf. Any discussion?
Yes. I thought we were only going to the west end of the school property with this phase.
It does, in fact, go to the corner of 15th Avenue Northwest.
Yeah.
It crosses the street and goes down to
I
15th.
thought we were gonna hold up on that until we decided what we're gonna do the rest of the way out, because that was gonna get a little expensive.
15th is as far as we can go without running into the right-of-way acquisition and some of that other
But
activity.
we've already crossed the road, you know, where if we'd stopped at the school, then we could either go on the south side or cross and go on the north side,
And
depending upon which became the more viable option. I thought that's what we decided, but
We agreed that we were going to go on the north side
After the
let-
school.
after the school.
Right, just for point of clarification, then I'm going to ask you to consider waiting till the public hearing, not to delay it, but we had discussed going across the street because at some point we need to have a street crossing on First Street for those that live on the north side. So the crossing is imperative to this project. We need it to get the students across First Street someplace there. Moving it to 15th was as far as we could go. That's roughly the halfway point of that project, and that's what fit inside the financial constraints that we had without running into the right-of-way acquisition. So the plans that we did present, here at the council and went to the TAP program committee involved shortening that up to 15th Avenue Northwest for that purpose. But, and I don't want to take away, but
Did we lose any grant funding by shortening it up?
we didn't lose any money. But again, and I don't want to be rude, it would be most appropriate if we can have that conversation at the public hearing. I mean, that's what we're setting tonight, so I'd rather advertise it so that people can be aware of it and then have that conversation more appropriately.
I've yet to catch any kids trying to cross the highway across there, but we'll discuss that on the 22nd.
Thank you,
Most of
sir.
them drive, Mike.
Get driven.
I have a
So
motion
I
by
do-
Kurtz and a second by
I do
Scharf.
have a motion and a second to approve the public hearing for the 22nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Next is petitions from the public. Sarah Kelly, from the local foods coordinator. Come forward. Hi.
All right, hello everyone.
No.
My name is Sarah Keeley, and I am the local foods coordinator with Buchanan County ISU Extension and Outreach. And I was invited here to speak with you about some of the work I've been doing in Independence for the past 2.5 years. And I'd first like to thank you for all of your support for my work. But one of the things I'm most proud of is the growth of the farmers market. Since I've started in 2016, there were 45 registered vendors, and last year we had 61. And so I'm hoping to grow that number this year. The market now has a volunteer board, and we're looking into becoming a 501c3. And that's all due to our dedicated vendors, our customers, and all of our volunteers and community members. And the market this year will take place on May 11th and ending October 12th at the Wapsipinicon Mill from 8 to noon. And if you haven't ever been there, I really encourage you to go because we have some fun and exciting things this year. We are partnering with LACES, which is the Local Arts Comprehensive Educational Strategies Group, and they are sponsoring a musician the second Saturday of every month. And so you can come down, have breakfast, do some shopping, listen to music. And then we are also expanding the market this year and having a Tuesday night market in addition to the Saturday morning. And that will be on Tuesday evenings. We're not sure what Tuesday of the month, but one Tuesday a month from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Depot. And then a very successful program we have started last year with the help of the Buchanan County Master Gardeners is the Farmers Market Produce Donation Program. And this is where the Master Gardeners come and collect the unwanted or unsold produce from the vendors and take it to the Independence Area Food Pantry to be donated. And last year we had over 800 pounds of fresh produce rescued. So we're hoping for a big number this year. And I did bring you one resource that I recommend to everyone. It's called the Buy Fresh or Buy Local directory that gets printed every year. This is Black Hawk and surrounding counties, so this does include Buchanan County. It does not have a list of all of our producers in the area, but a majority of them. So you can use this as a resource if you're looking for a farmer's market or a specific producer in the area.
Sure.
So I just want to say, conclude with Independence is very fortunate to have a community that supports the local foods coordinator, and that I'm able to help support our local producers and our businesses and our farmers market. So I'm excited to continue to do this work and make local foods a visible part of our community. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Also, under the petitions of the public is a special event application for Oakwood Cemetery Tour, and Leanne is here to speak on that.
Making me hungry, man.
This is the 9th year that we have been able to do this Oakwood Cemetery Tour, and each year it is on the 3rd Saturday of July from noon until 3. We have volunteer tour guides as well as some of our historical members that do portraying of the people that are buried there. Throughout the years, we have had different circus people, the mayors, some business people, and some farmers, and even a runaway slave. And so we hope that you will feel for this application, and I believe that their certificate of liability insurance will be coming if you haven't already had it. Any questions?
So it's going to be for July 20th is the date of it?
Third Saturday, yes.
We would recommend approval subject to the certificate of insurance.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion by Kurt, second by Scharf. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You need a roll call.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Says it right
Sharp,
there.
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you. We invite you to come and wear your walking shoes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve a resolution to assess property owners for Chapter 136.03 snow removal.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by O'Loughlin. Any questions? Roll call.
Hayward,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next is a motion to approve a resolution updating and adopting a procurement policy. Give this to you to explain.
This would be Ms. Lynch's.
We were asked to update our procurement policy if we want to continue to receive some of our federal funding. A lot of this would affect the airport as well as some of our FEMA reimbursements. It's similar to what we have now, we just need to update it for them so we can continue to receive the funds. We don't have an issue with updating it according to their requirements.
I'd make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
I'd second it.
Motion by Kurt, second by O'Loughlin. We needed a roll.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Shire,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion in regards to small cell design. Who gets to speak on this one?
I do. I'll try not to bore you too much. If you have questions, please ask. I've been living this for a couple weeks, so I know not all of you have. The Federal Communications Commission, back in December, adopted a ruling and order to help facilitate the rollout of 5G service and other broadband services. And part of how they do that is to make it easier for carriers to place their facilities in right-of-way, which correspondingly leads to a reduction in local control authority and oversight over these things. There's limits on how much you can charge for application fees, how much you can charge for recurring fees, how long you can take to process an application. And one of the things that the FCC still allows cities to do is to pass guidelines regarding aesthetics, spacing, and undergrounding. So that's what the policy that, or the guidelines that we're recommending you pass tonight cover. It has a list of priorities, with ornamental poles being last, for example, of where these things should be located. It's basically an antenna up to 6 cubic feet that'll sit on top of or mounted, alongside a light pole, or other utility pole typically.
With 5G, are they going to need more antenna?
What's that?
With 5G, the rollout, are they going to need more antennas around to
Yeah.
make it work?
Yeah, the stats I've heard is that the large cell towers that a lot of municipalities rely on for revenue are going to be replaced. I think up to 80% of anticipated new antennas are going to be replaced by these small cells. They're laid out in grids throughout areas, 500-yard placement in grids across areas. Anticipate it'll start more in the larger cities or in Iowa, perhaps places where there are topographical or other service areas where they really need to fill dead zones and whatnot. But in any event, the FCC's deadline for adopting these guidelines is April 15th. And this was very slow news coming to Iowa. The municipal attorneys, the various trade and municipal organizations, no one was talking about this until 2 weeks ago. So I don't have an ordinance for you now. I don't have applications for you now. But I have guidelines that you guys can adopt by resolution to have something in effect if you get an application to weigh that application against. So it's not just a free-for-all and you have to approve anything that comes to you. It's a very basic set of guidelines. I've proposed the same set of guidelines to 17 different cities. It was a group effort in terms of the research and whatnot and divvying that up among the cities we represent. So there's not a whole lot of stuff in there particular to independence. The idea is we get something on the books as a stopgap, and then if it's necessary to come back and amend that, we can do that easily enough by another ordinance. And with that, I will stop talking.
So it'll ban certain people to come in and do this stuff, or?
You'll receive applications from Sprint, Crown Castle, AT&T, companies like that you that you see will come to the city with applications to put these things up. And with these guidelines, we'll be able to help determine the route a little bit. They might want to put it at location A, and we can say, based on our, and A might be an ornamental light pole. We might be able to say, no. At our guidelines, you can be here. It doesn't impact your functionality at all. So it gives us a little bit of control of where these can go when the telecommunications companies come to you.
I think it's important to have the guidelines in place now, because if we don't get them have something in place now, it truly is a free-for-all. You have no basis for guiding or, quite honestly, turning them down. Now, we haven't turned down a lot of folks for different access points, although we did have a tower issue in First Ward Park last year that, would come back to mind. You need something in place to guide your decision more than what we've had to have in the past. So at this point, I think you want to do something. Your ordinance and what have you can be tightened up a little bit as you move forward, but for right now, you have to have a guideline in place to start. I would recommend
Looks
it,
good.
so it's not otherwise they can come in without asking permission. They just come in and start putting them in. And that's something I don't think we want.
Right.
So
I'd
we-
make a motion, we approve that.
You make a motion to approve adopting the resolution?
Correct.
Second.
Motion by Kurtz, second by Scharf. Any other discussion?
Yeah, can this be used to steer too, as far as, if they know that there's a specific number of square feet? Can we steer them in a direction, like away from parks or recreation areas or things like that, or?
Yes. We have listed in that policy preferences, parks being last, residential areas being towards the bottom. So there is some ability, and that's one of the reasons we want to get this adopted, is so that we can have some control over where they are. Now, I'm hoping that, a lot of these groups will come in with, they know what cities don't like. I don't think it's going to be, once these policies start getting adopted in the next week or two, I think we're all going to see that a lot of the cities are looking at the same types of things in terms of parks and residential areas and ornamental poles. So I don't think you're going to get a lot of really contentious requests. And if you do, it'll probably be supported by an engineering study saying that, this is essential. This location is absolutely essential to our grid and service. And, on one hand, there's a balancing act, because we want to control these things. There's aesthetics. And on the other hand, I'm certain you're going to have residents that, that want these services. And as we get more and more reliant upon these things,
Oh, yeah.
it's just going to become the norm everywhere. So it's like, hitting a dead zone, where you don't have cell service. It's going to be, oh my gosh, we don't have 5G. This is so slow. City, why don't you do something about this? So it can be a partnership, hopefully. We'll act reasonably.
What made it all come about?
Lobbying. The telecommunications lobby. There was a company that was coming around Iowa 2-3 years ago wanting to put these things in, and almost uniformly we just said no. That's our proprietary right-of-way. And I think this was going on all around the country. So the telecom lobby is very strong and resourceful and organized, and they push this through. But just real quick, Iowa was 90% of the way there with a law it passed in 2017. So you're not going to. I think the impact of this FCC order is less here than it is in a lot of states that didn't have something like that already in effect.
And just for everybody's information, net neutrality was reauthorized in a House and Senate vote this afternoon, which means that they can't hold us hostage as small consumers. It means that they can't say, well, that law office, you don't do enough business, so your bandwidth is only going to be 18, whereas another one would be 50. It has to be equal. So that's good news for everybody.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Sharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I need a motion to approve the designation of 30-minute parking zones on the south side of First Street East in front of the City Hall, and the two northernmost parking stalls on the west side of City Hall, and its inclusion in the ordinance recodification.
They didn't move those over by the old Realtor place?
No. West side, this parking lot over, you keep trying, April Fool's over. When I read that, I thought, I can only be there 30 minutes, that means I only have to work 30 minutes a day.
See?
And I can't be here at the meeting, and
Yeah.
I'll leave after 30 minutes, even if you guys keep going, whatever.
We can change that to east.
That's right.
If you want me to leave early, that's fine, I don't mind. 30 minutes is long enough to be here. Yes, Dustin, you had something you wanted to share on this?
Just if there's any questions. The other thing is, what ordinance are we gonna put this under? We currently in the ordinance, we don't have one for 30-minute parking. We have 2 hours, 1 hour, and 15 minutes.
As we look at our current ordinances, Chapter 69 is the parking ordinance. 69.14 would be the logical spot to put this, but then everything from 14 to 24 would have to move down a number. Now's the right time to do it as we're going into recodification, because they can do that without a whole lot of, you creating a mess. The other option is to put it at 69.25. It's kind of out of sequence with the other time limit parking, so my recommendation would be to wiggle it right in there at 69.14 and move everything down one number. But what this does is create, taking away the handicap on the, at the front of the City Hall, creating 30-minute parking spots there from 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. Weekends and nights, it's open parking. Likewise, with a couple of stalls on the west side of City Hall, making them available for people coming into City Hall for business, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Otherwise, nights, weekends, it is open parking.
Did we not eliminate one of the parking spots here? So it'd be actually was the second and third?
Correct. There is one less parking stall there. There was an issue with that one in that they were backing into the sidewalk or across the sidewalk when they pull out. And the bike rack will go there. That's safer for the pedestrians. I think it makes more sense. So it would be, as we knew it, the second and third stalls on the west side.
So the bike rack still needs to be moved?
The bike rack has to be set in place, correct?
Okay, because I saw somebody parked in that spot.
Well,
Weekend and stuff, but,
it's still being squeezed in there pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We do have to change that.
okay.
So when we get this passed, we can get the curbs repainted to the proper colors.
Right. Once we identify it, we've talked with Tim and his folks. We want to make sure they paint. We tried to paint the handicap area on the east side here on a real nice day this spring. That didn't last. Well, not a big surprise. When it warms up and they start painting, all of that will be repainted. The sign will go up as soon as you adopt this. We will send it in with the rest of our recodification, and that's nearing its completion from what Gina found out. So we want to get this in sooner than later.
I'd make a motion to approve the parking change.
Motion by Kurtz.
Second.
Second by Scharf. Any other discussion?
I have one question. I know from reading through this, 69.15 was pulled in the past, and that is 15-minute parking for loading and unloading. Does that have to stay on the books? Can it, then that one, 15-minute just be moved down and then 30-minute be put in where for?
It would just push everything down. We have other
Okay.
They go
ordinances.
through all that during recodification, that's what
I
we
wouldn't-
submit to them, and they go through and reorder everything, so it's all in
Since it
chronological
was
order.
pulled, I didn't know if we could use that number, or we had to keep it there for some reason, so.
No, we can pull it.
Thanks, Dustin.
Roll call, please.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Sharf,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is Motion to approve the restoration rehabilitation application request.
Mr. Goodrich has put in an application for his restoration rehab new construction program, which is for the Central Business District. He is looking to install 2 new windows on the ground floor or sidewalk level of his base, of his building. He is eligible for 25% or $2,500, whichever is less. In this case, it comes to $576.12, based on his estimate that he provided. This did come through Government Performance Finance, recommended for approval.
I make the motion to approve it.
I would second it.
Motion by Hannah, second by Kurtz. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried.
Hopefully this will encourage other business owners downtown to utilize that resource, because it is a good way to help with the cost of it and help beautify the downtown too.
Sure is. Okay, we're down to reports. Dick, would you like to come first?
One thing I want to just remind everybody out there that we do have the ordinance for the open burning. And the mayor has proclaimed the ordinance that opened the open burning from Friday the 12th through Sunday the 21st. So, and I don't remember the ordinance right offhand, but they refer to that if they got any questions. Reminder, it is strictly yard waste. That's all that can be burned. No garbage, no dimensional lumber, strictly yard waste. So, all I've got, unless anybody's got any questions, or?
That would be from sunup to sundown. The fire is supposed to be out at sundown and not smoldering overnight.
So you'll get that information to the newspapers so they know how to put that in? Appreciate that. Thank
you,
you.
dear.
Dustin, did you have anything else for police department?
I want to just let the council know, Jason Ort, our reserve that has gone through the module process, has finished up his last module, has taken every test and passed and completed them. So now the next step is to get him in a uniform and get him ready to get out, start to get trained. He has a couple other things that he has to go through, but since he's passed all his required module sections, now we can actually get him in a uniform and on the street so he can help us out. So.
Sounds good.
Good.
Thank you.
Next is council. Who would like to start? Anybody got something really good they want to start with? Don't everybody speak up at once.
I'll start.
Okay, John.
I just wanted to remind everybody about the airport open house this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock, and encourage tell your friends and everybody. Waterloo Courier did a nice article this last Sunday on Jim's honor of having the airport renamed after him, and I think it'd be fun to go out there and show your support for him. I know the newspapers here locally have done a couple of articles also, which is great. Just help spread the word. That's all I've got.
Mike, we'll let you go next.
I have nothing.
Carl?
I have nothing.
Mike?
I would just like to remind our citizens that I've had several calls today regarding the new construction on First Street East. And I would just like to remind them that we've had 3 meetings and several notices in newspapers and so forth. And this is just progress going forward in Independence.
Definitely. Deb?
Nothing.
Danny?
Not too much tonight.
Nothing tonight?
Nope.
Okay. Gina, do you have anything?
Just a reminder that Susie and I will be gone later this week for our biannual IMFOA conference.
Congratulations on getting that award.
Yeah,
Gina.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Forgot your name suddenly.
Taking on what Mike said, on Thursday, the 11th, construction will start in earnest on the west end of First Street East, right at the Wapsipiticon Bridge. And they'll be moving throughout different areas, but right now they're going to focus there. There is a pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning at 9 for the Malone Creek Bridge project here at City Hall. So if you have any questions, we'll get more information from that contractor tomorrow.
When's the late start date on that, do you know?
Well, the late start date is June, but June 13th, I believe. We'll be finding out, trying to coordinate, because that's a section of the First Street East Street project. And we want to coordinate that very eastern end of the street with the bridge. There's a couple of things that have to coordinate there, and that's part of what we're working on tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because phase one for the street will be out there too, won't it?
Well, they call that Phase A, or Stage
Yeah,
A.
Stage A.
Right, and they want to start down here and see how this goes as far as street, taking the street out. They've got some utility infrastructure to work on. Stage A has less infrastructure work, but they have to tie into a storm sewer outlet and some other things with the bridge. So we need to coordinate those efforts a little bit there, as well as the detour signage. There's a little bit of a concern with detouring the trucks before they get that far into First Street if the bridge is still open. So a lot of that coordination will really take shape tomorrow and finding out what their timing is. But yes, we have to work those two together.
I've also had citizens ask for pavers or the bricks underneath, if those are going to be for sale or available when they do the tear out, if there are still some underneath there. I don't even know if there are.
Underneath the bridge?
Underneath the pavement.
Some of it does have it for brick under.
I guess we'll find out, Mike. I'm not aware of that, but
You just go
Just
pick
for
'em out of the scrap
clarification.
yeah.
Yeah, we could, instead of raising taxes, sell bricks.
That sounds like a good idea. The other issue is not to forget that Highway 150 South, that bid is being let later this spring, and that will be late summer when they do the overlay on the shoulders and that. But they will not close 150. That will remain open. It'll just be reduced to one lane while they're doing the paving, as I understand it. Just to add some interest to our summer.
Yeah.
But
And for the rain that's supposed to start on Wednesday and Thursday, which is the 11th, and the snow will
well,
work around?
I have it on good report that we do not have the 17 inches of snow forecast for places north of us.
That's
So I
good
think
to
we're
know.
okay.
So we don't have a river rising also.
But again, we'll find out more about the bridge project as we move through it.
I have nothing to share tonight, so I would ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion
Second?
by Scharf, second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. We are adjourned.